and applying them in the governing of the United States. If you can be non-emotional and you can be objective and you look at Obamacare, it doesn't take rocket science to understand that the ultimate goal was single-payer health care, which meant that the government was going to take over 20% of the economy and control the health care for every American man, woman, and child. So why was it important for them to control that? Why is it that this government has added $8 trillion of debt in the 5 years that Mr. Obama has been president? And we still have 91.5 million people out of work. We have 48 million people on food stamps, and we have an unemployment rate probably closer to 12 than 7. We have an unemployment rate in the black community that's now close to 14. Now, if we had a true liberal president in the sense of trying to be a president who was there to support the black community and get them moving again, he certainly failed there. But one only has to look at and say, if you remember what I said, if you are a Muslim and you're dealing with an infidel, the infidel, whatever happens, if it turns out bad, the infidel is always responsible for the outcome, never the Muslim. If you look at back from the period of time in October when we were dealing with the potential shutdown of the government and the debt ceiling, the Democrats basically continued to say about the Republicans, terrorist, anarchist. They had bombs dropped on their back. They continued to attack rather than admit any fault whatsoever. They put all the blame on the Republicans. They were saying to the rest of the world, we are innocent of this mistake. It's all the responsibility of the Republicans. So if one looks at Sharia law and understands that if you're dealing with infidels, you deflect all responsibility away from you and place it upon other people. Now, we have a president of the United States who's told us on at least 32 occasions, if you like your health care plan, you can keep it, period. If you like your doctor, you can keep it, period. But in addition to that, he's told us a bunch of other things. I don't really know what happened in Benghazi, or I don't know this, or I don't know that. I wasn't aware that the website wasn't functioning. Does it sound like he's putting the blame on other people, somebody else? He has no responsibility? If the President of the United States cannot take responsibility for the healthcare system, for the loss of 4 Americans in Benghazi, the activities of the IRS on dealing with nonprofits registration, on and on and on. If it's never his responsibility, it always goes to somebody else, then that reminds me an awful lot like Sharia law. And so what we're trying to do here is to say, if I'm right, that the ultimate goal of the radical Muslims is to destroy the American economy, all those activities that brought down the dollar, the inability to drill for oil and natural gas on our own lands, and not let the government giving us no ability to drill and develop our own natural resources. All those things are designed to drain the resources of the U.S. economy. And that's what the Muslims are trying to do. And so, well, I said, and I'll say it again, I'm not saying that the president is a Muslim, or that Harry Reid is a Muslim, or Nancy Pelosi is a Muslim. But what I'm saying is that the liberal agenda and their activities certainly mirror many portions of Sharia law.
I believe that you are correct, and I have my Crayola box of crayons out to add some color to that, because what you just said is something actually that I have said since 2008, actually 2007 and beyond, because I believe, and I think this will add some color to what you just said, about Obamacare, what does it do? It scares the pants off of people. It scares everybody because essentially everybody's going to lose their health care plan in the end. If the purpose of a terrorist attack is to scare a population, frighten a population, and bring an economy to a halt, then Obamacare fits the bill as a terrorist attack.
Absolutely.
The other thing is this, and I said this to somebody who was planning on voting for Obama in 2008. I said, just wait till this guy gets elected, because he is a liberation theologist. He believes in liberation theology. Liberation theology goes hand in hand with Sharia law. There are many, many areas where they coalesce together. You can't tell the difference a lot of times between liberation theology and Sharia law because, as we have seen, Obama has no idea that any of this happened. It's not his fault. It's your fault because you didn't understand what he was saying. You didn't understand what he meant. In fact, let me bring this up right here because you mentioned it, and I have been waiting. Let me see here.
I gave you the opening to do it, huh?
Yep, you did.
If you have your plan and you like it and you like your doctor, that you don't have to change plans. The government is not going to make you change plans.
You're going to have a plan that lowers premiums by $2,500.
I am actually not interested in just capping premiums. I want to lower premiums by $2,500 per family.
We will start by reducing premiums by as much as $2,500 per family.
You can keep your choice of doctor, keep your plan. The only thing we're going to do is lower costs, cut the average family's premium by about $2,500 per year.
And, of course, none of that is going to happen. It's all a lie. And he knew
but
he was lying.
You need to find one more cut.
What's that?
That's the cut from his presentation this past week. And you need to find this because it's there. Where the President of the United States says to the world, I guess I didn't know how complicated insurance was.
That's garbage.
You know what?
Not what you said. Not what you said. What he said.
I believe he doesn't know, and I think that we are 6 weeks into Obamacare with the exchange and the website. I don't think, and part of my 40 years of managing money is also develop products for insurance companies and mutual funds and brokerage firms. I don't believe we yet know the full extent of the devastation of what these changes are and how they're going to. I mean, all we're talking about right now is the individual mandate. The president wants to move the mandate 11 or 12 months into the future. It doesn't make the problem go away. It's not a fix. It doesn't solve anything. It simply postpones it till after the midterm elections. But he's not talking about the small group plan business, and then next fall, when the waivers for the corporate plans go off, and the corporate plans. So we're talking about, you mentioned it briefly, we're talking about a situation where virtually everybody's health care in the United States could be adversely affected with this law. The dislocation, if you put 20% of the American economy in chaos, you're not going to have an economy that's going to grow. And they don't want it to grow. They want it to continue to limp along, draining resources, doing whatever. I mean, the website costs $637 million. And I'm sure you've seen and heard many, many computer scientists who said we could have done that for probably $2-3 million or less, and give the same functionality. Now, I'm thinking in my mind when I'm hearing this, how do you spend $635 million on something that cost $2? I don't understand that. But if you take $635 million out of the U.S. economy and send it to Canada, to a friend of Michelle, on a no-bid contract, that's $635 million that isn't available to do something else in the economy. I heard this morning, and I heard it yesterday, and if I be so bold to ask you a question.
Yes.
I've heard it twice in the last 2 days. I was on a very long road trip to get back to New Jersey. I was down in Florida, and I was in Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee and all over, and I was doing interviews as I was driving my way back. But what I heard in the latter part of the week, Thursday and Friday, and I heard it again this morning, that the fallout of Obamacare may be the destruction of liberalism in this country. What do you think?
I've heard that. I actually was listening to the show when it happened. I'm not buying it, and this is why. First of all, the liberals, the progressives, the communists among us, as I like to call them, they simply will not back off. It's always going to be somebody else's fault. It's always going to be the fault of the conservatives, the Republicans, whoever happens to be at hand, who's ever criticizing them. It's always their fault. Mm-hmm. They're going to double down. We've seen that with Obama. We saw that during the shutdown. When the key was, okay, we're going to make it hurt as much as possible for everybody. Mm-hmm. You want to back these people that are conservatives that want to take us back to a constitutional government? Fine. We're going to make it hurt as much as possible. We're going to punish you. It's not going to be the end of liberalism. They're just going to double down, and it's just going to get worse. And
do you think that the American people, I don't know whether this is true, what I was hearing about polls this morning, they can forgive a president who makes a mistake.
Yep.
But they can't forgive a president who lies to them about one of the most important things in their life, and that's health care.
No, they won't. I think
so. His legacy is, in a word, toast.
Yes. You're exactly correct.
But a waste of a presidency.
It is. I had, when I told my friend that you just wait till you get a hold of that liberation theology and see how much that hope and change works for you. Mm-hmm. I was actually hoping that was not going to be the case. Here we have the first minority president elected, and it would have been so nice if he could have been a great president along the lines of a Ronald Reagan. Just an absolutely stunningly beautiful, perfect president. But he's done nothing but fumble around and stumble. He hasn't had a meeting with his cabinet in something like 9 months. Their cabinet his cabinet is treated like outsiders and idiots. And as far as their website goes, I can tell you right now, I run a whole lot of websites. I can tell you exactly within minutes how many people have been on the website, what pages they've looked at, what they've done, where they've come from, their computer system that they're running, their browser that they're using, how long they were there, what their path was through the website. And for them to say, well, we're not going to have that until the middle of next month is garbage, because it works. And what you see on the screen right now, for those of you that are on the video side of the broadcast, is a website called thehealthplansherpa.com, made by these three young lads that you see on the screen. And this is how a healthcare website should go. I'm going to put in my zip code, 48176. Click Find Plans, and instantly there are the plans that are available to me. Obamacare website doesn't work. And right now, I know on this site there have been 36,711 people that have liked it, and almost 3,000 people have tweeted about it. And there you go. That's how easy it is to do. But one of the things that they're doing, Dan, is they're taking all of your information, your bank account, your Social Security, and everything else first. It's like one of those credit card sites that wants your Visa card number before they'll give you your credit score. It's the same principle. One of those sales sites where you have to give them your email address before you're allowed to watch the video promising the latest whiz-bang solution to get rich. And they're taking your information, and it says right on the website you have no expectation of privacy. So you're giving them all of your private information, your bank account, your routing number, your Social Security number, where you live, how many people are in your family, and everything else. And what do you get for it? You can't even get back into the site.
I was listening to a computer person yesterday on Sean Hannity's shows. I was driving up through Pennsylvania, and he said he called in. He was a caller, and he thought that the that the Obamacare website was fantastic. And Sean was just shocked that he said